in her 30s, our first guest, by the way, this is a daytime exclusive, experienced her first overdose. In her 30s, she discovered she had a serious addiction to pills. Renee Graziano became a famous name in the reality space on Mob Wives, 6 seasons. She was on the show because of her ties, her family ties to the mob. Her father, Anthony Graziano, was a consigliere for a major crime family, made her a star on this show. But it is her own personal story that we're talking about today. 8 months ago, Renee says she died from an overdose on fentanyl. She says that for a year leading up to her near death, everything in her life was falling apart. She was burnt out. And today in a daytime exclusive, her first daytime interview since that incident in September, Renee is ready to talk about it. Tam fam, please welcome to our show, Renee Graziano. How you feeling?
I feel wonderful. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, boy, thank you for joining us. You know, we happen to be women past our 30s. Let's just be honest there.
Really? We don't look it.
Well, you look fantastic.
Thank you.
But I wanted to start in your 30s because a lot of things happened before this moment in September.
Yes.
And first of all, I'm happy that you're here and you're healthy.
So am I. Makes me very emotional, so if I cry, forgive me, but it's a feeling of I'm relieved.
You're relieved.
I'm relieved. When I had the opportunity to do my interview on Bunny's podcast, Jelly Roll, I was so comfortable with her that I just vomited.
Yeah, because
everything came out.
This all came out on a podcast.
Yes.
And this is your first sit down. This is live. So
absolutely.
This is uncensored.
Yes, it is. I just can't curse, everyone.
You can't curse. I want to go to your 30s because in your 30s, you became addicted to pills.
Yes.
And that's when you had your first overdose. You were 37.
I was 36. I was 2 weeks shy of 37. It was July 4th, 2007, and I OD'd. I was given a lot of medication by the doctor, oxy-80s, diet pills, Xanax, this, that, and the third. And I went to my mother's, and I was like, I need help, and I hit the floor. And that's exactly how my first OD happened. And, you know, I continued throughout my life to do things I shouldn't have, not ever thinking, oh, I could OD again. Never, because the consequences for me, I came back. Right. So you don't think about it.
Right, that's what I was gonna ask you. And we've done shows on people who are struggling with substance abuse and are in the throes of it. I have family members, I have friends, I have people that I love impacted by this. So this is personal for all of us. There's no judgment here. There's no judgment here.
A lot of judgment out there.
Yeah. But you know, there is this belief that for someone who's dealing with an addiction, that you'll hit a rock bottom and that you'll get better. To me, 36 years old, an overdose in front of your mom would be the rock bottom.
Oh,
but
far
it wasn't.
from it.
No,
Very far from it. My second overdose, my son actually had to fly from New York to Florida because I was intubated, and that's what he walked into. Wasn't enough. It was. Shame on me as a mom, but it wasn't enough. It continued, and it continued to grow because my trauma, which I never knew was trauma. Like growing up as my father's daughter, I didn't see anything, but I knew everything. You know what I mean? Like people were being murdered, and it was around me, not around my father, but it was around me where I was hanging out. And I didn't realize that's trauma. Yeah. Like, it's trauma when my first boyfriend, you know, he gave me a black eye, and his consequence was a broken arm. And that's trauma because I witnessed it.
What's fascinating, too, it's trauma, but it's glamorized trauma. Because even in the movies or on the show, it's like, my boyfriend hit me, well, my dad broke his arm. That's a glamorization of violence because it's like, that's cool. My dad broke his arm.
No, actually, it wasn't. It worked the opposite for me. So I was taught at a very young age not to tell. Yeah. That's the word is rat, you don't tell. And how I experienced is my sister used to pick money out of the piggy bank. So one day my father says, let's crack the piggy bank and count the money. I was like, little girl, he puts me on the thing and we crack it. And he's like, Renee, where's the money? I said, Lana took it. Boom. Don't you ever tell on anybody. Wow. That lesson destroyed me. I lived by a man's way of life, but I was a woman. So I didn't take it seriously. Like, I always knew my father would protect me, but when you witness something, I felt it was my sin and that I was going to be held accountable at the end of the day, because I'm not going to tell my father, because this could happen. It could be worse. It could be worse. So I think for me, I started to clam up. Then going into my marriage, a lot of domestic violence, sexual assault, domestic violence, and I shut up and I didn't tell. And when I tried to tell, nobody heard it. Nobody believed me. Oh, she's crazy. Oh, she's using. No, I wasn't. That's my truth.
Because I know at age 14, I think that's when you first experimented with drugs.
Yes.
But it was in your 30s
that
it just became this I don't know if it's ever controllable. But
you know what? I partied in my younger years. I grew up champagne and cocaine. That was always around me. I grew up in the Goodfella era, so that's just what it was. And it was never accessible. It was never excessive. I'm sorry. It was accessible at all times, but never excessive. Oops, slipping the tongue.
I love you. I do. I love you.
But at 36, from the pain medication, unfortunately, my ex-husband shattered my coccyx bone. So the pain medication put me over the edge. And when you're given 2 Oxy 80s a day and you're this little skinny girl, you don't know what's coming. And then when I had that OD, I was sexually assaulted in the hospital. And it changed the course of my life.